Welcome to Nimasa this week. My name is Cordelia Obey. We are all celebrating, we're celebrating democracy, and I want to say happy democracy weekend to all of us. Why not, if not? Well, we know that we've been experiencing and enjoying some dividends of democracy. The maritime sector is not left out at all. One of the major things we have seen would be regional collaborations. And the dividends of such regional collaborations, I'll be sharing one with you on the program today. And it has to do with a ship that was declared a vessel of interest. A Nigerian government handed it over to the Ghanaian government for further investigations. Why? You'll find out. There was a commendation recently too for Nigeria, and it's all because Nigeria has taken the fight against piracy very, very seriously. This commendation I'd also be happy to share with you today. We had a one-on-one session with the DG CEO of Nimasa. The first we are having, and it was a special one. You'll get to find out why. And so I'll just simply say, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. Nimasa this week.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. We are charting the direction for a maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are Nimasa. New face, rejuvenated service. Nimasa, changing the tides in your favor.
Now we dive in fully. The Ghanaian and South Korean envoys in Nigeria have commended the Nimasa management for the way they handled the issue of a vessel that had been declared a vessel of interest by the Nigerian Navy. They handed this vessel over to the Ghanaian government for further investigation. Now, this vessel had been found fishing illegally in the waters of Nigeria. The findings from this particular investigation, based on regional collaboration, will be made known to all the countries involved. Let's take a look at this report and see how everything panned out.
This vessel, Marine 77, is a Ghanaian flagged vessel with International Maritime Organization's number 7419755 and registration number 316880. It is owned and operated by World Marine Company Limited, Japan, and as at the time of arrest, it had 51 crew on board, 48 Ghanaians, and 3 were from the Republic of Korea. The vessel, which had authorization to fish in Ghana and Benin waters, was arrested by the Nigerian Navy around the southwest of Lagos waters with her automatic identification system AIS switched off after being suspected of being used for piracy. The Navy also suspected that it was also fishing without authorization in Nigerian waters. Thus, the Nigerian Navy arrested and handed over to Nimasa. When the agency's investigation also confirmed the Navy's position, the management of Nimasa invited the Ghanaian Maritime Authority through the Ghanaian Consulate to take over the vessel and conduct further investigation. The handover document signed by all parties was witnessed by the Korean envoy in Nigeria. While speaking during the official handover of the vessel and the crew to the respective authorities, the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dr. Bashir Jamo, said that the Navy-Nimasa partnership has put Nigeria in pole position to win the war against piracy and other illegal acts at sea. Dr. Jamo was represented by the agency's commander, Maritime Guard Command, Commodore Enyetie Ibok.
According to IMO regulations, when you shut down AIS, you are supposed to log it, put it down in your logbook. This vessel did not log any of these incidences. Moreover, when we went through a navigational chart, to even indicate her location at a particular time, she did not update a navigational chart. All this points to the fact that this vessel had something to hide, and that is why she was investigated.
After the documentation, the team proceeded to the vessel to complete the handing over formalities. preliminary investigations had confirmed that the captain switched off her automatic identification tracking system, AIS, 36 times without being logged in her record book, which is contrary to international protocols. The Nigerian Navy had also established that 3 of these episodes of going under the radar was while they were on Nigerian waters. So Nimasa handed over the preliminary investigation report to the Ghanaians and Koreans. While receiving the vessel and the crew on behalf of the Ghana Maritime Authority, the Second Secretary Consular of Ghana in Nigeria, David Akosoa, commended the Nigerian authorities for being professional in handling the case. He said what Nigeria is doing is for the benefit of the entire countries in the Gulf of Guinea.
We already know Nigeria as our big brothers and a sister nation. So we really appreciate how they've handled this whole issue, and would hand over to Ghana Maritime to do further investigations.
Also speaking during the handover, the Consular General of the Republic of Korea in Nigeria, Kim In-taik, commended the party involved in handling the case. He said his findings from the captain of the ship, who is a Korean, informs that the AIS was banned. He noted that the vessel and her crew erred by not following the protocols of logging in the record books when the AIS was down, but he was happy with Nigeria.
I'm happy that to see that all the people look in shape, but I'm very sorry that the Nigerian authority delayed the investigation so long time. So I'm very sorry they suffered a long time here at the ship. So, but I'm happy that they could now make a journey to their base in Ghana.
Since the vessel is a fishing vessel, Nimasa also involved the Nigerian Fisheries Department.
We have a synergy between the Nigerian Navy and Nimasa. We have the harmonized standard operating procedure that we are working on. So this issue of arrest we've been notified by the Nigerian Navy and the Nimasa. We work together to achieve this place today.
In the Gulf of Guinea, everybody is beginning to know that and notice that the Nimasa Safety Administration and Coastal Administration is not looking back and shaking off. They are ready to combat and face all challenges in the Gulf of Guinea with their collaboration with the Nigerian Navy.
It is noteworthy that the renewed partnership between Nimasa and the Nigerian Navy is yielding fruit, as the recent arrest of 10 pirates on a Chinese fishing vessel, which is the first in recent time, is a pointer that it is no longer business as usual in the Nigerian maritime domain.
Now time for us to have that session I talked about with the DG CEO of Nimasa. It's a long time coming, but eventually we got there. Thanks to social distancing and all the necessary COVID-19 prevention protocol, we're able to have this session. Enjoy it. You're still watching Nimasa This Week, and today is quite a pleasure to do this because since he came into office as the new DG of Nimasa, we've not had the pleasure of chatting with him, or because of the season we're in. But thank God for wisdom, we were able to map out a proper plan, social distancing in mind. I have with me the DG of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jabo. Welcome to Nimasa This Week.
Thank you very much, Cordelia. You're welcome.
Thank you. Now we're here. And I had this question planned in my head when we were coming for this. I said the first thing I'll be asking you is this simple but deep question. How did you feel when you were announced as a DG of Nimasa? What went through your head?
Well, Cordelia, you know the Nigerian's situation and factor. Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency has been a very, very difficult agency. The culture, the organizational culture, the issue of staffing, you understand, the mandate, the issue of security, and so many other things. It's not something easy that you can be a kind of, excited. All you have to do, and you keep in to your mind that there is a great, responsibility ahead. So instead of feeling so special, you just feel that you have another national assignment. You know very well, I was in the system as far back as 1993, 94, and I work closely with most of the chief executives. So the challenges of the agency is very enormous. So it's not something so exciting. But when I got the wind, my name has been approved as the Director General, I knew that the task ahead is not really, really easy. But with the blessing of God and the hand of people in the industry, I'm sure you know how the industry stakeholders received the appointment. It's given me a great pleasure and encouragement.
Well, I see it's not stopping you from doing what you had planned, because from what you said, you had time to really think about the things you'd want to do in here. I remember the first meeting you had with staff stakeholders, you kept talking about the 3 S's, because that has been a major issue for us too. So probably you had given it a lot of thought. And when I'm talking 3 S's, in case you do not know, we're talking maritime security, maritime safety, shipping development. They call it a tripod.
Yes.
Why did you focus on this?
Well, the tripod, I tried to submerge most of the functions of the agency into the tripod. If you think of the maritime security encompasses maritime security, maritime safety, and as well as marine environment management. The marine environment management period 2007-2008, we have it merged with the maritime security standard department. So we just created marine environment management department from the maritime safety security, so that we can have efficiency and effectiveness in managing the marine environment area. So you can see that the maritime security as part of my tripod encompasses about 3 things: the safety, the security, the marine environment management, the accident investigation bureau. So I try to subsume it under the maritime security. Then the second aspect of it has to do of maritime safety. Cordelia, Nigeria is the one that warehouse the issue of regional maritime security coordinating center. And we look after 9 countries in this agency. Anything to do with the issue of search and rescue, safety at sea, of navigational safety also. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency take care of that. So if you take safety, we are talking of search and rescue, safety navigations, and other things like that. Then the other S has to do with shipping development and capacity building. Capacity building include the issue of cabotage. Cabotage has 4 legs: the registration of vessels, there are the ownership of vessels, and then the manning of vessel, as well as the building of ships also. So that one, you see, cabotage subsume that. The capacity building has to do with training and retraining of the CPRs, which we have Pomala Jomalik, encompassed or subsumed there. So we have maritime level standard department. So almost the entire department now subsumed into that. Now, in addition to that, the shipping development and capacity development also takes care of the issue of fleet expansion in terms of increment of ownership of ships, the repairs of ships, and then the building of ships also. So all this one encompasses. So if you look at it, the entire gamut of the acts we have 4 acts approved by the federal government: the Nimasa Act, the Merchant Shipping Act, the Cabotage Act, and the Anti-Piracy Act, which is the newest one that was approved a year ago, exactly June last year, Mr. President approved it. So also that one also, all these acts subsumed within the 3 A's. So silently you can see it as 3.S, but encompasses the entire mandate of the agency. But we try to mention the largest one that we can be able to handle, and the stakeholders, both international and the internal stakeholders, can be able to understand easily. If you say Triford S, you can recall easily what we can be able to address.
You know, I'll just start from the end of what you talked about now, cabotage. And you know that was a big issue before now. We talked a lot about it. And if you take a look at Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, the CVFF, we do not really know where it is going to, where it's at. And if you're encouraging ship ownership, ship building and all that, that is very crucial. So what is your plan for this?
Well, Cordelia, you cannot be able to understand the intricacies with Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund unless you know the history of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. It started sometimes in 1994 and split it up to 1996 when the government introduced Ship Acquisition and Shipbuilding Fund. And introducing that particular fund at that time was meant for giving out loans for ship owners to acquire ship so that we can expand the fleet. That's the essence of fleet expansion. And a lot of stakeholders benefited from this gesture. At the end of the day, to repay the loan was a difficult thing. Most of the stakeholders believe that this particular fund is a national cake. So we have gotten our own national cake.
So no need to pay back.
No need to pay back. Some of them collected the money, invested the money in a different business instead of buying the ships. Some of them collected the money, bought a very old ship that cannot be able to stand the test of time.
That means maybe they collect X amount, they spend less than to buy an older.
Exactly,
wow.
as usual, the Nigerian factor. So it becomes very difficult for them to pay. And another difficulty for those that bought a very good vessels, we used to have what we call the cargo sharing formula at that time, 40-40-20, where the indigenous owners, they have capacity to get the cargo. So if you have a vessel and you don't have the cargo, it becomes an issue. So some of them also, they have the vessels and there's no cargo to live because of the scrapping of the cargo sharing formula that we have been using. So it becomes very difficult, some of them to pay. Some they are willing to pay, there is no cargo, so they can't engage the ship. At the end of the day, the problem of inflow become an issue. And another issue, at that time, the NMA, we are not, you understand, commercial banks, that we appraise applications for loans, we look at what type of collateral the beneficiary will bring. At the end of the day, if he fails, we know where to fall back. So we just issued loans like that without adequate arrangement on how to recover the funds. So Fidelia, up to today, some of them, they are yet to pay this money. Some of them taken to court. Some of them came to tell us that, look, the money you gave us, it wasn't enough for us to buy a very good ship that we can work. We just got rickety big buckets. Okay, if you know the money given to you is for rickety buckets, why buy rickety buckets? We had a situation where some people came to us, they said that at the deep sea, the vessel sank. So Cordelia, who will go and investigate whether that vessel is originally under and other things like that. Now, because of this history, the Nigerian government said, okay, suspend the issue of ship acquisition and shipbuilding fund sometimes in 1996. Then we will now start pursuing the beneficiaries to come and pay. As I told you, from my records up to now, I have handy of them with billions unpaid to the coffers of government. So it becomes a very dicey situation. If you follow my Honorable Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Chubidoma Abmechi, he made a lot of explanation, fine, I have cabotage vessel financing fund. You stakeholders come and prove to me that you will not mess up this money. We have given this type of money to the aviation industry. They mismanage it. If you can convince me that you cannot mismanage these resources, I will disburse it to you. Otherwise, I'm not going to be party to those people that will collect money and go to sleep and enjoy themselves with the funds.
We had a very long session, actually. Next time, we'll be sharing some more bits from that interview with you, that session with the DG Nimasa. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Nimasa This Week. Stay on.
The International Maritime Organization, IMO, the specialized shipping regulatory agency of the United Nations, has delivered a glowing appraisal of Nigeria's efforts to stem piracy in its waters and the Gulf of Guinea, commending the country for sending a strong and valuable message to the global community. IMO also commended the new Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, for his brave and dynamic approach to maritime security. This was contained in a letter addressed to Dr. Jamo by the IMO Secretary General, Kitak Lim, amid recent arrests and first-time prosecution of suspected pirates under the country's new anti-piracy law. The Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences (SPOMO) Act was signed into law in June last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. The law made Nigeria the first in West and Central Africa to have a distinct anti-piracy legislation. Lim said he was impressed by Nigeria's efforts to address maritime security threats in the region, adding that Jamo's leadership and proactive response to maritime security issues were laudable. I would also like to reiterate my congratulations to the Nigerian Navy on the successful capture and arrest of pirates from the shipping trawler Hailufeng II, and more recently on the rescue of the crew members on the container ship Tommy Richer. Lim stated in the letter, those actions, together with all other initiatives you highlighted in our meeting, including progress with Deep Blue Project, send a strong and valuable message to the international community with respect to the considerable efforts your government is making to curb piracy and armed robbery against ships in the Gulf of Guinea, he added. Jamo had, during the virtual meeting, bemoaned the adverse effects of foreign collaboration on Nigeria's anti-piracy efforts. He said the recent arrests of pirates have opened our eyes to a new and even more dangerous dimension to the issue of piracy and armed robbery on our waters, and that is the issue of foreign collaboration. The arrests involved Nigerians and other nationalities whose identities I cannot disclose because the cases are under investigation. Piracy is taking an international dimension. We now know that pirates and other maritime criminals in our waters and the Gulf of Guinea operate with strong backing from powerful international collaborators. So we earnestly desire the cooperation of the international community, individual countries, organizations, and individuals to stem the ugly tide of insecurity on our waters. We will continue to do our best and update IMO as we make progress with our strategies. The IMO Secretary General reiterated the organization's readiness to assist Nimasa in the training of personnel and technical assistance, and also declared his willingness to talk to other member countries to assist in that respect. He said IMO would help to deal with the issue of synergy in laws regarding piracy with other neighboring countries. Nimasa had recently improved its collaboration with the Navy and other stakeholders in an effort to change the ugly narrative of piracy and sea robbery in its maritime domain and the Gulf of Guinea. The new collaborative arrangement involves information sharing between Nimasa and the Nigerian Navy. The Deep Blue Project, also known as the Integrated National Security and Waterways Protection Infrastructure, aims to comprehensively tackle insecurity on Nigeria's territorial waters and exclusive economic zone up to the Gulf of Guinea.
As chairman of the board, my duty is to formulate policies. The major objective of Nimasa is safe waterways. Without safety on our waterways, you can't do commerce. So it's the responsibility of Nimasa to provide that safety. We have given the minister the assurance that we will do our best to ensure that our waterways are safe.
Now, this period, a lot of companies have decided to do things that will help them overcome all the challenges COVID-19 has really come with. Nimasa, for instance, has an in-house task force that would help to domesticate the guidelines that NCDC will be coming out with regularly or have come out with, or to make it easier for members of staff to work, cope, and above all, to be safe. Now, we met this task force at one of its sessions because they usually meet regularly to talk about these things. That task force, headed by Dr. Ansel Weze, had a lot to do. We'll share some of them with you.
The COVID-19 committee basically was set up to create awareness among staff and stakeholders in the maritime sector, and also to put into place some other measures that will help to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 organism.
As part of our mandate, the Health Services Unit has gone into and has developed some protocols which is geared towards developing a working relationship with the bodies, the national bodies that have been charged with the responsibility of handling this pandemic. That's the NCDC and to some extent the NIMA. The Health Services Unit, in conjunction with the COVID-19 committee, are working assiduously to make sure that we develop a working protocol whereby our staff and other stakeholders, that's the external stakeholders in the industry, benefit from seamless access to care and services if need arises in terms of this pandemic.
After WHO declared the COVID as a pandemic, the agency swung into action by providing necessary PPEs for staff. The agency has gone ahead to decontaminate all of our office buildings to ensure that the spread is contained.
Well, that's our show for today. I have to go now, but do remember, you could keep in touch by following Nimasa on all her social media platforms. I'm talking YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. They are all at Nimasa Official. You could also visit the website to get more details about some of the things we've talked about and even more. My name is Cordelia Obe. Stay safe and stay smart. Bye-bye.